All right, what's up? Today we are going to talk about secrets that the rich don't want you to know. And I'm going to have a special guest on today. His name is Dippo. He's a content creator, and I think he's going to be a blessing to you guys. My goal is to provide information that inspires, that helps to elevate you. So he's going to join me live, and I'm going to ask him some questions. And if you have some questions as well, you can leave questions in the comments section. But what we're going to talk about are secrets that the rich, they just don't want you to know. Um, and I think this guy is really going to help you guys out a lot. So, um, Dippo, I see that you've joined. So if you can go ahead and request to join live, you and I can hop on, and we're going to teach some basic, simple things that people can do to retire rich, to make their money go further. Like right now, like not, you don't have to wait. There are things you can do right this very second to secure your future, your present, and your future with respect to money. So, um, yeah, I want you to join me live so that we can talk. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I am also going to provide information for the guest where you can get to his page and any information that he has, because I really think that the information that he has is really going to really help you. So let me see if I can't um, get him on here. Okay. So, Dip, if you go to the bottom, you'll see the infinity signal. Click the infinity signal, and it'll be a guest request right at the bottom of the screen. Just if you click that, it'll ask to join, and then you and I can hop on, and I can share with you. I want you to share your expertise with people. So it's a purple and blue infinity sign. Share this live, by the way, with people. If you know anybody who is having money challenges, who want to learn how to make the money that they're making right now. Like it doesn't matter how much money you're making right this very second. I am going to let me see if I can help this out, brother. Let me see here. Okay, I am going to so okay. All right, here we go. So let's get ready to let you on right now. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I am doing wonderful, man. Thank you.
Good. Hey, I don't know if you you have video, or you can go to your settings, and because I want people to see your face, I want to make sure people know who you are. You are, in my opinion, an amazing content creator, but I want to hear your backstory so people can really understand these secrets, these tips, these keys that you are giving to help people succeed in life with respect to their money. So, do you have video? Do you want to do video, or are you okay with just doing it the way it is right now? What do you want to do? Can you hear me? Are you still there? For some reason, I may have lost you. I can't hear you. So what I'm gonna do is I have on headphones. I don't know if you have on headphones. I'm gonna rip my headphones off in hopes that it'll help us to hear each other. Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now? Just let me know if you can hear me. If you're in the comments, let me know if you can hear me now, because I really want to, have this conversation with Dippo. Yeah, I can't hear you. So I don't know if you're wearing headphones or anything. Or what I'm going to do is I am going to drop you out, and then, or you can check your settings, and I could drop you out and drop you back, and you can actually ask to be joined back in, and we can kind of go from there. So I'm going to end you right now, but then I'm going to have you come right back in. Okay. All right. And so we're going to talk about a couple of things. One is how can you as a regular person um, become rich, retire rich? You're just you're starting out. You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, maybe in your 50s. How can you, as just a regular person, having worked a regular job, how can you retire rich? How can you get to a point where you have financial freedom, right? Those are some things that we are going to talk about today. So Deb, go ahead and request to join again. And then what I will do is I will let you into the live. Okay, as a guest request. Let me see here. Because there are some things that really, the rich just don't want you to know. Most people think to get started, you have to have tons and tons and tons of money. Okay, I'm gonna let you in. All right, I should be letting you in here shortly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Can you hear me?
All right, yes, I can, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up because I don't want to monopolize or dominate the live. I want this to be about you. But here's something that I want everybody to know. So I came across this creator's content, and it was very inspirational. A lot of good information and education that made me stop and comment. And by the way, I don't comment on a lot of people's content. I'm very, as a content creator, as a thinker, as a positive thinker, as a person who is an author and put out stuff, I'm not into a whole lot of foolishness. Not the saying that's on this app, but when I find something that is really inspiring, like what you were sharing with respect to how just a common, regular, simple, or everyday person can actually start doing things to make themselves put themselves in a position where they can have financial freedom. I was like, oh my God, I really need to, I want to have a one-on-one with this guy, and I want to share him with my community. And so the purpose of this whole thing is to provide information that inspires so people can elevate. That's the whole idea behind it. So with that being said, I want you to give your backdrop. And by the way, if he is saying something that you think is absolutely amazing and you like, go follow him. Click on this page. Please go follow him. I wish everybody who is interested in having financial freedom will go follow him. So introduce yourself, man. I got some questions for you. If anybody else has questions and they want to leave them in the comment section, please leave them in the comment section. So go.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me. So my name is Deepo Addison. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was probably like around 16 years old, right? I'm 36 now, and basically, like I've had a serious passion for starting and building businesses, but more importantly, also empowering people in financial literacy, because I know that's something that's missing in a lot of communities. So, my passion is to create content to help people, to educate people. Outside of that, we have, run a couple of businesses here in the United States. We have several businesses in Africa. Really just all about, empowering, motivating, and inspiring.
Okay. And so talk about your businesses. Talk to me about some of your businesses, what those are, what you do, kind of how those things are manifesting now.
Got you. Yeah. So one of the businesses that we run is in the healthcare sector. So we run a staffing agency where we, we staff for, different healthcare providers, right? So we've been doing that for, a couple of years. We also run Well, my wife runs a bakery business, right? So she's a cake decorator. So she's been doing that for, I think, about 5 years now as well. We have several companies back in Africa. Originally, I'm from Nigeria. So we have businesses in Nigeria. We have several companies in Rwanda, in the e-mobility space. The companies we have in Nigeria, that's more in the agriculture sector, as well as a restaurant that we also run out of Nigeria as well. So just couple of things here and there.
So you have some experience. You've built some businesses, and I'm sure along the way you've made some mistakes. And we'll talk about that. But when I say the word financial literacy, right, what comes to mind for you?
Understanding money.
Okay, that's pretty simple. I'm an entrepreneur like you are. So when you say understanding money, kind of, can you go a little deeper than that? What financial literacy means? Understanding money and the understanding of what about money?
How money works. So Danny, if you think about it, right, you're obviously, probably a little bit older than I am. And I always ask people that, well, I can speak for myself and I don't know about you, but if you think about all the years that you spent in school, right, can you recall any point in time when you were taught on the subject of money?
No, the answer to that question is no. Now, we were taught math. We were taught
Right.
about what coins and dollars are, but we weren't taught about how money actually works in real time.
Exactly. Right. So now, if you ask that question to millions of people around the world, we'll get similar answers. Right. But the challenge is we've been taught to go to school to, learn how to get a job, become financially free, but they never taught us how to actually make how money actually works. So we work for money, but we don't understand how to multiply money. So when I talk about understanding money, I'm talking about the principles of money, right? Ideally, most people only know work, get paid, and pay your bills. That's the general ideology that most people have about money. But when you talk about financial freedom, creating wealth, obviously there's a lot more to it than just following the traditional way or patterns that we've been taught.
Okay, so from your perspective, I have my opinion regarding this matter. Why do you think the topic of how money works, right? Why do you think that is something that is not a subject that's taught in our educational system?
Right. That's an interesting question, right? So we gotta go back to the history of education, right? What was the basis of what we call education today, whether you're talking about the United States or even globally? Now, at least from the little research that I've done, the foundation of what we know as school today was not really to empower people to become successful in the real world, right? It was really to instill discipline and also to create, to make people fit to work, to be employable, right? So we're talking about the industrial age, for example, right? During the industrial age era, it wasn't about you being successful per se, but understanding how to function in a work environment. So our parents have passed on that same ideology, and we're still passing it on to the next generation. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, and that's an interesting take. So what I hear you saying is the educational system, which was created many moons ago, and if we just take an era, the industrial age, and a lot of that is being taught today in our schools, just basic math, basic English, social studies, a little bit of
Sure.
history, those kinds of things. These are subjects that help us to kind of get along, right? Or to kind of move along, to kind of fit in. But it's not information that is causing us to break out or stand out. Is that what you're seeing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if we're going to see a change as far as like people being transformed financially,
Mm-hmm.
something needs change in the educational system, or something needs to be introduced in addition to what's being taught, right? Now, imagine a situation where schools are now teaching financial literacy, right? Teaching principles on money, principles on success. It's impossible for somebody to fail after graduating because they're now positioned to succeed because they understand how to actually use the money that they'll be earning versus, hey, just get out of school, make sure you get a good job, and then, get a house and all this other stuff we've been taught.
So, okay, that's an interesting take as well. But let's talk about this. Why would those who are in power, let's just say that, right? Because I don't know the who is.
Sure.
And it could be our parents, it could be those that came before us. Why do you think they don't want us to know how money actually works? And before you answer that question, I want to give this follow-up statement, because the more money you make, the more money I make, the more money those who are watching, the more they make, the more they can contribute to society, if you will, the more they can pass on. Why do you think that is the case? That those who are in power are really not, they don't want us, the educational system, whoever controls that, they don't want us to know how money works in the way that the rich know.
Yeah, I think there's always been a gap between the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor. And when you are at the top of a food chain, there's this human nature that wants to kind of keep you at the top, or a group of people at the top, right? Even when you talk about working in regular corporate America, right? Everybody's fighting to get to the top, but we know that's not possible. So the same thing happens when you talk about, the hierarchy of building wealth. The truth of the matter is everybody can't be wealthy, but if you give enough people what they need to maintain a particular lifestyle, they get complacent or become comfortable with that lifestyle without wanting or desiring for more. What do I mean? When you graduate from school and you have a good job, you're able to pay your bills, little savings in the house, little savings in your bank account, you've been able to even purchase a home. Most people are comfortable with that, right? If you interview a lot of people, nobody's the majority of the people are not thinking about being a millionaire. It doesn't cross their mind. Everybody just wants to pay their bills and just have enough to take care of themselves. So that mentality has kept so many people at the bottom that the rich don't even have to struggle to maintain power because the majority are not trying to strive for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So you said something that was very interesting, and I was going to attack this question with this another question, and that is, do you think that the reason why financial literacy, and when we say financial literacy, we're talking about how money works, right? Money is designed to multiply. You can multiply it. It can work for you. I know I heard you say that in one of your TikToks, one of your videos, that you can actually employ your money. Your money can become a slave to you. Do you think that those who are rich, the reason why those who are in power, those who have all of the wealth, don't want financial literacy to be taught, is because if you become financially literate, if you know how money works and start making your money work for you, if I learn how money works and everybody who is watching this learns how money works, they begin to lose a little bit of their power, right? And that power translates to control over us, which means that they may eventually have less. What do you think about that statement or that thought or that question?
Well, in losing power, yes, but the thing about money is, like, there will always be abundance of money. There is no scarcity of money, right? Money's constantly, whether it's digital, whether it's the paper, like, money's always moving in circulation. It's moving from one person to another, right? Unfortunately, it moves from the poor to the rich because the rich people, wealthy people, know what to do with money. I think the biggest challenge that people have is getting information, right? So when you talk about, Moon years ago, this information that's available today was not available back then. There was no internet, right? There was no way for people to access like real knowledge to help you acquire wealth or build wealth systematically, right? But today, anybody who's struggling financially, I will venture to say that that person has not taken the time to actually seek out information, because I think somebody said we're not hiding any secrets. The truth is there is no secret to building wealth. The information is out there, but you just need to know how to go and get it, if that makes sense.
It does. And if you have a question, if you're watching this or you're joining us and you have a question, just leave it in the comment section. If you have a question later, you can follow Dippo, and you can also leave me a DM, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. So that's very interesting. So if there is enough money going around in circulation in multiple forms for there to be enough for everyone to have abundance, why doesn't everyone have this abundance?
Perfect question. It's mentality, right? Mentality. Now, everybody makes money. It doesn't matter how much you make, everybody makes money. The key difference is you and I spend our money differently. Therefore, we get a different outcome. For example, if you and I are working at the same company, making the same salary every 2 weeks, right? How you choose to use your $2,000 paycheck can determine if you continue to live paycheck to paycheck, and how I decide to use my $2,000 will determine how whether I live paycheck to paycheck. So, for example, if I get my $2,000 every 2 weeks and I decide to invest 10% of my income into a business, right, or into something long term, so I'm thinking into the future now, and you take your same $200 and you decided, hey, I want to have a nice weekend, and you blow $200 every 2 weeks, that money accumulates over time. So when you talk about wealth and struggling financially, the key difference is where your money is flowing to on a consistent basis. So the way I like to put it is this, right? We are content creators, and I always tell people that there are two types of people. You have consumers and then you have producers. Consumers spend money, producers create products and services for consumers to buy. So obviously, like, in just looking at that math, who's making the money? The producers, right? So it's not about not being enough money. Somebody who's struggling financially, they have money, but they have a consumer mentality. So their money is flowing to the hands of the wealthy who are producing something for consumers to buy.
Got it. So I hear you, and obviously that's true. So two people making the same amount of money, same $200, which is 10% of this $2,000 every 2 weeks. One person decides to use that money one way, and one person decides to invest the money, and the other person decides that they're going to spend their money to have a great time. You're right. The end result is going to be different. That $200 that was invested will continue to grow over time, and that $200 that was spent that weekend stops literally once you spent it in that particular weekend. So the difference then is how people think about money, how they're going to use it, right? So as Absolutely. A content creator, as a financial literacy educator, how do you help people to understand that, you know what, you have to start to change your thinking, because our actions in life, whether we spend or invest, are a direct result of our thinking. But our actions, what we do, it takes time to manifest, right? You have to be willing to get the correct information into your thinking so that you can manifest that. How do you tell people, listen? You shake them up, listen. it's not that you don't have enough money. It's just that you're not doing with the money you have, you're not doing the right thing. And you need to change your thinking. What kinds of things are you saying to your audience, and would you say to this audience about how they can begin to change their mentality about money?
Okay, so I think the first step is to actually know where your money's going. A lot of people don't know how much money they spend on certain things because they have a mindset of a spender, right?
Yeah.
So if you're very simple example, if you're purchasing a cup of coffee every day on your way to work, latte, whatever, tall latte, and you're paying $5, subconsciously it became like it's a habit, but you've never thought about how much that will be worth over the course of 365 days. So what I usually tell people is that number one, the issue here is not with you earning more money. We don't need you to earn more money right now. The first step is you got to know exactly where your money's going, and that comes by tracking your daily expenses. Like I've done this before and I still do it up till today because I have a particular app that I use, and for every penny that I spend, I log it in the app. So at the end of 30 days, I'm able to evaluate where my money actually went. So if I notice that I spent more money in this particular area than needed, then I'm conscious of it next month to reduce that particular area because it's taking more of my money, right? So once you're able to track where your money is going, you can now come and make a conscious decision to start adjusting your spending, right? So that's really the foundation of you building wealth is by knowing exactly where your money is going first and foremost.
And I appreciate that. And this is the crux of the reason why I wanted to get you on. You did a very simple chart example on the first video I ever saw of you, and you were saying, listen, you don't have to make more money right this very second. Here's what you need to do, right? You said when you get paid every week or every 2 weeks or every month, the first amount of money that comes out of your check is taxes. The
Yep,
government takes its money from you first. It doesn't wait for you to pay them. It takes that money from you first. And then you said, so what you need to do with the remaining money is you need to treat yourself like the government.
absolutely.
Go ahead and expand upon that point.
Yeah. So, Dennis, when I talk to a lot of people, Daniel, when I talk to a lot of people, one thing they often say is, man, I don't make enough money and I can't afford to save 10%. Where am I going to find 10% from when I'm living paycheck to paycheck? And immediately I always think to myself, and this is for people who haven't seen that video, the reason why the government takes 10% or whatever 20% of your paycheck before you see it and not allow you to pay it after you get the money is because the government does not trust you to pay their fees. So they forcefully take it before you even get it. So my philosophy, if the government can forcefully, without your approval, without your consent, take money from your paycheck, you can set up a system and discipline yourself to have 10%, just 10% of your income go into a separate account that you don't have access to. All right. Now, what I've discovered over a long period of time is this. When you set up a system where you have money going into a separate account, whatever you have left, in some magical way, you find a way to make it work, right? So you can make $1,000 every 2 weeks, and you say that's not enough, but you decide to set up a system where $100 is going into this separate account that you don't have access to. You'll be surprised that with the rest of the $900 that's left, you can make something happen with it. You'll still get by. You still
So,
survive.
bro,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
brother, hold on, because this is important. Bro, this is the basic. This whole week I've been waiting. So, a person makes $15 an hour,
Yeah.
okay, over the course of a 40-hour work week. Okay. Right now, they're struggling financially. They're saying, you know what? I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my car note. I can't pay all of those things, right? So what I hear you're saying is this $600 a week that you make, the government is going to take its money first. Let's just hypothetically say it takes 10% of that $600. You're left with $540. Okay. What I hear you saying is you are going to take 10% and you are going to be disciplined. You need to be disciplined and force that money like the government took it from you. You need to take it from yourself and put it in an account. And by doing so, you will find a way to continue to get that rent paid, car note paid, and the other expenses that you. How do people? In what way? How would they figure it out?
It just works. So look, so the mind is so powerful that when you put the mind to work, it becomes creative as to how to make things happen, right? Just the same way, like you earning $1,000 right now, you say I can't pay my rent, despite the fact that what you're earning is not enough, you still find a way to pay the rent. You see what I'm saying? So when you believe you can do or make something happen, your mind goes to work to make it happen, right? So that
no, go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah. So my point is this, right? Even if you can't, like, people keep saying like, I don't have enough money, blah blah blah. For me, I would rather pay myself first than pay my insurance, my car note. I can be late on that, but you got to cultivate the habit of paying yourself first. You see what I'm saying? Because if you get into habit, now I'm not saying, and I got another video on this, it went viral, people talking like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I'm not saying don't pay your bills. I'm not saying, ignore your bills. All what I'm saying is this: if you work so hard for your money, you shouldn't be paying everybody else first and you pay yourself last, or you don't even pay yourself at all. Right? But go ahead.
So let me try to comment on that. So what I hear you saying, and tell me if I'm correct, is people need to change their thinking about their money by making a decision to pay themselves first, even if that means reducing some of the excess spending, like a nice weekend, like that coffee, like that expensive sports car. Figure out where you have money going where you don't need it to go. It's a luxury, right? And the way I define a luxury is can you live without it? Right? I don't have to drive a $75,000 car right now. I can drive something that's a lot less expensive, and I can use the excess cash that I have to begin to do what it is you're talking about. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's all about knowing where you are, right? And it's not so everybody desires to have a nice car, nice home, and I'm not saying don't get any of those things, right? But I believe that there's a time for everything, right? Time to sow, there's a time to reap, there's a time to have a nice car, there's a time to work hard to have the nice car. The problem is that a lot of people are trying to have or compete with other people, most especially like on social media, right? We see other people doing things and you feel like you got to keep up or you're being left behind. Financial literacy or being financially free requires you to know yourself and know where you are and then work your way to get into where you want to be. Right now, I see somebody said, no disrespect, but you're not saying anything yet. So what we're saying right now, it's really just about the foundational stuff, right? Some people might already be beyond this, but from my experience, majority of the people that I interact with, they still don't understand these basic principles,
Right.
right? Everybody wants to get rich and make a lot of money, but if you don't understand how to control your money, if you get $1,000,000, you'll blow it as quick as you got it because you still don't understand the foundations.
I'm an example of that. I actually spent many years trying to be, by the way, I'm in the staffing business too.
Oh, nice.
Have been for 30 years. So I spent many years trying to build a successful business. And finally, on the 5th try, I was able to do so. But after 5 years, I lost it all because I didn't understand how I thought I understood how money worked, right? There's a couple of things that I failed to do, and that is I believed that I deserved what I was doing with the money I was making. Now,
Mm.
I want to be clear about something. I did deserve it, but not yet. Right? There was not enough of a surplus being created from what I was making that allowed me to deserve to splurge a little bit here and there. So even though you are making $20,000, as my business was $20,000 a week, $1.1 million a year, I still struggle financially because I didn't understand these simple basic financial literacy things that you're talking about. I knew how to make money. I knew how to make $1 million in business. I knew how to grow a business to $2 million right from nothing. I started my company with $458 literally and grew it in 18 months to 1.7 million. I knew how to make money back then, but my problem is I didn't understand how to make the money work, right?
Mm.
So I lost a lot of it on I bought employees. In other words, I hired people that I didn't need to hire. I didn't have metrics that were centered around giving me an understanding when should I hire the next person and why? How much money do I need to have in reserves as a just in case? I never thought about any of those things that are money, principle, financial literacy related. And so even though I was making over $1 million a year in my business, over $1 million a year in my business, I lost it all after 5 years because I didn't understand those things. And it made me sit back and think, okay, yes, I can make money. And there are people right now, they're making $40,000, $50,000 a year, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck because making the money is just one part of it. Making the money work for you is another part of it. And that's what we're talking about. So you want to comment on that?
Yeah, and I love the point that you just brought up, Daniel, as far as like making the money. I know people, now you're talking about 40, 50,000. I know people that earn over $100,000, 150,000, but they still live paycheck to paycheck. So the key that you got to understand, it's never about how much money you earn, right? It's about what you do with what you earn. Most people think that their lives will be a lot better if I could only just earn, $70,000. I remember when I first got out of college, my first job, I was earning $30,000. I thought I was on top of the world because I didn't have any responsibility, like still living at home with moms, and I'm just chilling. Now I went from 30,000, I'm making 35. I think that's a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more money I kept on making, the more I felt like, yo, I need to earn more money. But I discovered that it was not about earning more money, but understanding how to keep what I earn and how to multiply what I earn. And all of that didn't come from my business school. It came from educating myself and really taking the time to learn how money works, right? So you're definitely right on point when you talk about you can make a lot of money, but if you don't understand success principles or financial principles, you will always go back to square zero, which is what happens to a lot of lottery winners.
Right. So Nate just asked, and I believe this is a sincere question, how do dumb people get out of poverty? Now I want you to really listen to that question again, and I want to hear your response. How do dumb people get out of poverty? How do they do that?
Okay. Well, I would I will exclude the word dumb because there are a lot of people in poverty who are not dumb, right? So let's just kind of keep it. How do people get out of poverty? Number one is to live and I well, let me just start off with this. Live within your means. I know we've heard that before, right? And all I'm saying is this: Wherever you are in life right now, that is exactly where you're supposed to be, right? You're not supposed to earn a lot more. You're not supposed to earn a lot less. What does that mean? The more you learn, the more you earn. All right. The current value that you're bringing to your employer or to your business is directly proportionate to the money you're earning. Okay. So if your goal is to get out of debt, get out of poverty, number one, going back to the basic things we talked about, you got to know where you're currently spending your money. Okay. I give you a very real life example. Many years ago, I remember moving into an upper class neighborhood because I started making more money. So I thought, just like you, Daniel, I'm making good money. I can afford to live in this neighborhood. Well, guess what? From the moment I moved into the neighborhood, it wasn't just my rent that increased. Everything else went up. So I didn't factor all of that in to what I was earning at the time. And when I tell you I started living paycheck to paycheck, it was bad. So one day I just asked myself, you know, what would it cost me to downsize my lifestyle? All right. Now we're talking about years ago. I was paying about $1,700 for rent, right? And I asked myself, what would it cost me to downsize my lifestyle so that I can have financial peace?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I, we moved, this is where, you got to just humble yourself and just know who you are and be comfortable with it. So we moved from renting a house in a high class neighborhood and we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment where we was paying $1,100. All right. So you're talking about $1,700 to $1,100. Guess what? When we dropped our size to a 2-bedroom apartment, every other expenses also decrease with that. So what does that mean? We now put ourselves in a position to save more, to invest more, and to be able to do a lot more with our money, right? So when you talk about getting out of poverty, you got to evaluate where you are. Are you doing?
No,
Yeah,
no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, so you got to evaluate where you are, right? Are you spending more money than you earn, right? Can you maintain and sustain your current lifestyle? Right? And if the answer is no to that question, then you got to start changing things instantly before you even talk about the next step. Now, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to take it. I want to try to address this as well and get your take on this because I want to make sure that that we are taking all of the meat off the bone for Nate. When I see a question like how do people get out of poverty, the first thing I ask myself is, does this person understand what the definition of poverty is, right? And the definition of poverty to me is it is a mentality of lack. It is a mentality of I don't have enough. I can't make enough. That I will never have enough. I am not enough. Poverty, the mentality of poverty means it is a mentality of famine. It is a mentality of lack, right? It is a mentality of I am so far down. There is nothing I can ever do for the rest of my life to get out of this particular hole. So the first thing I try to tell people to do is, and this is what you said, is you have to change your thinking from a mentality of lack. I don't have enough. I can't make enough. I'm making $15 an hour. I don't have enough money to save. I don't have enough money to invest. I don't have enough money to put to the side, right? To me, that's a poverty mentality. I don't have enough. You always think that I don't have enough. I was making, my business was doing $1.7 million a year. And I thought I don't have enough. So every day in my business, I was trying to grind to figure out a way to get more because my mentality was I don't have enough, right? When the truth is I had way more than I had ever made in my entire life in a business. I just didn't, because of my lack mentality, because of my poverty mentality, right? I didn't know what to do with what I had. So it just went through my fingers like water goes through the bottom of a boat that has holes in it. So how do we get people to change their thinking from poverty, I don't have enough, to what we're trying to get them to is abundance. I have enough to do what I need to do right now until I can do more. What do you tell people to do in terms of that?
I would definitely recommend number one, reading, right? Education. And I would say this, that the one thing that changed my life is that I started reading books at a very early age. I wouldn't even say early. I think when I was like a sophomore in college, I started to read a lot of books on financial literacy, self development, and those books literally transformed my thinking. I was thinking completely differently than all my colleagues were, other students in my classroom, because I was being exposed to knowledge that was not being taught in the classroom. So, like you rightly said, there are two types of mentality. You have the poverty mentality and the abundance mentality. A poverty mindset is always thinking, I don't have enough. There's not enough to go around. I got to get mine because no, it's not enough to go around to, for everybody. Abundance mindset, that's why I said earlier that there's enough money in circulation to reach everybody. That is an abundance mindset. So the first thing that you got to do, or just to kind of add to what Daniel said, is that you got to go from a lackment mindset to abundance mindset. And the way that I've been able to do it is through reading books, listening to audio CDs, watching other successful people, and learning from them as well.
You know what? That's good. So Nate's response is, so not that I am dumb and broke, but I am smart and rich. I am looking at other standards too much. Nate, listen to me, Nate. And Dib, you can comment on this. That is absolutely right. In the age of social media, we are looking at images and pictures of other people that we aspire to be like, but we don't know what they had to do to get there, right? You see somebody driving a Bentley or a Lambo. You don't know if it's rented or if they worked their butt off to get it. I don't know what you had to do to get to where you are. I have no idea. But if I can learn what you now know, I can have what you now have. So if we have to stop looking at what others have and making that our standard and ask ourselves, like you said, what do I have right now that I can begin to pinch off, put aside, and put myself in a position to invest or use when opportunities come along? What are your thoughts regarding this comment from Nate?
Yeah, I think that's a very great and valid point that Nate brought up, because we are creatures that are moved by what we see. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people, especially on social media, that are portraying the lifestyle that they don't really have. And that's a big problem, because now you have people who really don't have much. People who are struggling maybe to make ends meet. And then you see someone who appears to have the lifestyle that you desire to have. And now you become envious. You become jealous. You feel depressed as if nothing is working out in your life. And I'm telling you right now, whoever's watching this, and I say this with all humility, your lifestyle is better than 80% of the people in the world, right? I told you earlier, I am originally from Nigeria. I've seen poverty, right? I've been in different parts of Africa. I know what poverty looks like. So if you have 3 square meal, you have a roof over your head, you can leave your home and go to a place called work and you earn a living. Trust me, you are very rich, extremely rich. The key is your perception, right? So what is your definition, number one, of wealth? What is your definition of being rich? Your definition could be, hey, if I make, let's say $50 an hour, that's wealthy to me, right? That's your standard, right? While for me, I need to have maybe $50 million. That's my standard, right? So you got to know your definition of what wealth is to you and be content with that, right? For very
I
long,
love it.
yeah. For a very long time, I was driving a 2006 Chevrolet Uplander. The car was beat up. Not that I couldn't afford another one. I'm still running multiple businesses, but for me, my definition, my standard of wealth was not determined by the car that I drive. So I show up to a meeting in my 2006 Uplander. I don't care what you think, right? You don't know how much money I got in the bank. You don't know what makes me happy. You don't know nothing about me, right? But I can pull up in a 745, right? I just rented a car. You didn't know that, but I just look like I got it. And that's what we're seeing on social media. People acting like they got it, but they really don't got it. So
A
you got
hundred
to be
percent.
full in your identity and who you are. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
it's very hard to fool a person who has had to work to get, the 745, and
yeah,
it's hard to fool that. Let's just suffice to say it's hard to fool them. So listen, Dip, we are 50 minutes into this live, and I don't know if you have anything prepared, but I want you to take a few moments here in just a second, and I want you to give us 3 or 4 keys, things that people can do. The regular common $15 an hour person, they can start doing today, not tomorrow, not when they got a bag. Today, what can they start doing today? And before you jump into that, if anybody who wants to increase their financial literacy, if you want to know more about how money works, this brother is educating people on the internet. So for free, just go to his profile, follow him. Make sure that you put on notifications. All of his profiles, follow him so you can make sure that you're getting this information. I'm going to ask you one question before you jump into it. And that is, what one book for you changed everything about your mentality regarding finances? I'm going to mention what mine is, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what that one book is for you. And then I'm going to have you jump in and give us 3 or 4 things that we can start doing right now, today, Friday, I'm sorry. What can we do today to start on this journey of having financial freedom and doing things the rich don't want us to know? My book is, the way I learned how money works is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That book changed my entire life in the early 2000s, and it was the reason why my 5th business became successful, because I understood the principles of money and finances from that book. So what one book has changed your mentality or your thought regarding financial literacy, and what 3 or 4 things people can do right this very second that could start changing their financial future?
awesome. Well, since you mentioned the book, I'm not going to mention it as my first book because that was at the top of the list. But it's a book, just to kind of give people option, was a book that I read by Dave Ramsey, and it's called Total Money Makeover. I,
Yes.
I read that book the very first year I graduated from college, and it took me one day to read a book about this thick. And the reason was because I was so glued to the basic principles that we're talking about now and how that can set you up to become financially free. So that was the book that kind of propelled me to really focus on cutting down my expenses. I'll share this with you, then I'll share my 3 things with you. I remember graduating out of college, not really being too financially literate at that time. And the first thing I wanted to do was to buy a car because I was making good money as far as I was concerned. And my mom told me, said, son, don't buy a brand new car. I said, Ma, I gotta get it. You know what I'm saying? I can afford it. I graduated college in 2008, and I purchased a 2009 Toyota Camry, 2 miles on it. And I was feeling good, 0 down payment, right? I was feeling good about it. And my monthly payment was $406 for the car.
Wow.
Insurance was 200 and something dollars. So that means every month, without the maintenance, $600 came out of pocket. But guess what? My mindset was, hey, I'm living with moms. I don't have any overhead expenses, so I'm good. So I picked up Dave Ramsey's book and I read this book and it just changed my whole psyche. Now, here's what I did. I took the car that I purchased. I took it back to the car lot and said, hey, I want to return this car. How much do I need to pay you guys to take your car back? And I ended up paying the car dealership $2,000 to take their car back so I can go back to my 1999 Infiniti and be comfortable with that. That's what happens when you decide to become financially literate. Because I want it to look good. You see what I'm saying? 2009 car, insurance, like I'm dropping. I love when, oh, Deepo, yo, your car's nice. I love that. But when I started reading, oh, I didn't care what people have to say about my 1999 Infiniti, like, because my mindset was changed, right? So to go to the three things that I think people should start doing right now to change their financial future or whatever the case may be. Number one, you have to save a portion of your income. I don't care how much money you're earning. And please don't tell me you're not earning enough. We've already been through that. If you need to start out by saving just 1% of your income, now I'm not even talking about 10%, just 1% of your income, start with that. Because what we're after here is it's not about the amount of money, it's the habit of saving money that we're talking about. You see, when you can comfortably save $1 out of $100, you feel good about yourself. Something happens to your psyche. Then you think, hey, you know what? If I can do $1, maybe I can bump it up to $2. Over time, your confidence starts to grow. And before you know it, you push yourself up to 10%. I don't even do 10%. Like, that's chump change, right? I do maybe probably somewhere around 20%. Like, I got money for savings. I got money for investing. Like, I'm all about just building the future. So that's the first thing, saving. Number two is, how can you increase your current income status? In other words, you need to create or add at least one or two more additional streams of income to what you have. Now, some of you guys might say, well, Deepo, I don't know what else I can do. I can't get a second job because the way my first job is structured. Well, then you got to start thinking outside the box. What can you do that other people will pay you for? What knowledge do you put into something that other people will buy? I'll give you a good example. So since we're talking about financial literacy, I decided to have 3 of my books on the side, right? So my very first book I published in 2018, 21 Habits of Highly Broke People, right? It took me 2 months to publish this book on Amazon. It became a best-selling book on Amazon. And the reason why this book became easy for me to publish was because it was already information I already knew about. I didn't have to think much. I just had to add more meat to it, do a little bit more research to make it more juicy, right? I published the book and the book became a bestseller. And number two, every single month I was getting a check from Amazon from a book I published one time. So the whole point behind me showing you the book is this. You know how to do something you've been sitting on for a while without knowing that you've been sitting on money. You see what I'm saying? Some of you guys got 2-3 cars that you've been sitting on money. You see what I'm saying? Some of you guys got 2-3 cars and you can put your car on there, people rent it, and every month you can make $700 to $1,000 in passive income. Some of you guys are living in a big house that you hardly sleep in, and you didn't know you can actually leverage Airbnb, rent out a room, and make extra $500 every single month. So, like, we live in a time where if you are broke and struggling, it's a choice. Yeah. It's a choice because the information is out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's out there. So that's the second thing. Number one, save a portion of your income, no matter what. Number two, find a way to increase your earnings, right? Through, either getting a second job, doing something to generate additional stream of income. And number three, be value conscious. What do I mean by value conscious? I learned this a long time ago, that the more value you add to other people, the more money you make. The more you learn, the more you earn. So for me, I've learned that a while ago, and that's why in all my social media platform, I'm all about putting out content, creating value for other people. You know what happens, Daniel? Somehow,
What is that?
someway, somebody reaches out to me, hey, can you be my coach? Right? How much can I charge you for you to, for you to create a game plan for me? Right? What products do you have? So I wasn't trying to sell you anything, but because I've added so much value to you, you came to me to buy what I'm offering. You see what I'm saying? So focus on developing yourself, right? A lot of people spend their time on social media watching a whole bunch of nonsense, excuse my language, but like people like you and I know you're very value conscious, Daniel. You probably spend time listening and watching people that will add value to you.
100%. You are
So
one of those people.
I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
So let me restate these because I think there's important. So you said number one thing a person can do, or the first thing a person can do, is you got to start saving a portion of your income. Now you ain't got it. Don't have to be 10% or 20%. It can be just 1%. That's $1 out of every $100 that you make. And the reason why you want to start with whatever you can start with is because it's not the 1% that you're after. It's the habit that you're trying to create. And if you get used to saving 1%, 2% becomes easier, 3% becomes easier. But if you don't have the habit to start with, you are going to fail, even if you start at 20, try to start at 20%, because you don't
Absolutely.
have the right habit in place, right?
Bingo.
Is that correct? Okay. The second thing you said is ask yourself, what am I sitting on right now that I can use to make more money? And you said, you pointed to your book, but people can go cut grass. People
Yeah.
can go sweep a sidewalk. People can go deliver whatever they can. There's a lot of things that we can do that are service based that don't cost us anything,
Oh,
that we can begin to do. Paint somebody's wall, or I know somebody that goes around the neighborhoods and they paint numbers on a person's curb, and they make
mm,
30, 40, $50 doing that, and it's just a spray can and some numbers, right? So there's something that we can do to try to create an additional stream of income, and that could take you 1 to 10 hours extra a week to do. That's number two. And number three, and I really like this, you say be value conscious. Ask yourself the question, what can I do that I can provide to somebody else that brings value to them? That, let's go back to the yard cutting, right? Can I add value to this elderly person by cutting their grass because they no longer are physically able to do it? That is adding value to that person. And by doing that, that person will pay you to do so. Did I get those 3 points correct?
perfectly said.
All right. Now, brother, you held up some of your books, and I want you to please, can you tell us about those books? And I mean, really, you're adding value in through your platform for free. But if anybody wants to follow this brother, they want to get information from him, I really want you guys to, I want you to have the opportunity to share that. Because if you've been with us this whole time, right, there's something that he has added in the last hour that is going to help you. So please tell us really quickly about the books that you just held up, what they're all about, where they came from, how it all happened in your life, and how people can get them.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all financial related. So my first book is titled 21 Habits of Highly Broke People. It just just looking at my experience in interviewing people, relating with people, and just taking all those information as to why do people struggle financially, and then just kind of to create something very concise. It's only 103 pages, but
Mm-hmm.
it's filled with, I mean, you can check it out Amazon, look at the reviews, it'll speak for itself. My other book is How Poor People Think. We talked about, your mentality, the poverty mentality versus abundant mentality. And most people don't know that their way of thinking is what has gotten them to where they are today. And when you can change the way you think, everything else about your life will change, right? So that the book you just made it to bring to your awareness, hey, how, what are some of the thoughts you've been thinking or that have been rooted into your subconscious mind that is producing some of the results that you don't like, right? And then my third book is called Rich Kid. So this is more for like parents. 7 things your kids need to know about money to become rich when they get older, right? And these are some of the principles that I've been teaching my kids, things that I'm applying in my home to set them up for financial success. Once again, these are things that we weren't taught in school, and parents learn or pick up their financial habits. I mean, kids, they pick up their financial habits from their parents, right?
Wow.
So
Yep.
if you don't teach your kids about money, they'll just subconsciously pick up your habits. So if you're a spender and your kids pick that up, they'll think every time they get money, I need to spend, right? So my kids already know, like, daddy saves, daddy invests. Sometimes my kid once told me, my oldest son said, "Daddy, all you think about is money." Well, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but he was kind of right? Because I'm always busy,
Right.
So it pick all those things up.
Well, brother, listen, I really appreciate you taking time out to add value to this audience. I know, there are well over 100,000, 150,000 people on this platform. This will replay on all of my social media platforms in long form, and I appreciate that. I just, I want to add value to people by introducing them to great people like yourself. With that being said, we're going to close this out, and I'm going to give you the last word, brother. What is the last word for tonight?
Regardless of what your current circumstances are right now, it can change. But for it to change, you got to change what you're putting into here, right? If you feed your mind with some of these things that we've been talking about and make a conscious decision to become better, then you will become better. So, the nutshell, change what you're putting in here, and then your life will change with it.
I appreciate that, man. So listen, go follow this brother. You see him right here, Dippo. Just give him your call sign here on TikTok and other places.
So my it's really my name. Like, just type in my name on TikTok. Now, of course, you got people who have replicated my name all over the place, but whichever one has the most follower, it's pretty much that's my handle. So type in my name, Dipo, Dipo, last name Adesina. And that's my social media handle across all platforms.
Well, I appreciate that. Go follow him, please. Leave comments, ask questions, DMs. This brother is generous with his information and his time. Get his resources. If you believe it's going to be something that's going to change your mentality, the mentality of your children, it's going to change your life, then you need to make sure that you are making the investment in your own life. If you want some of my resources, I have ebooks as well. Simply click the link in my bio, see which ebook speaks to you, grab that ebook. It's a digital download literally today. And I would appreciate that support as well. At the end of the day, we want to help people get to the next level in their lives. And I always say this, Dip. I say, listen, I will spend the rest of my life helping you get to the next level in yours. That's what we're here for. That's what it's all about. And brother, I hope that we can do this again soon. Absolutely. I am going to send you a message because I think financial literacy is something that needs to be spreading like wildfire. And you need to teach people, even like me. I made tons of money in my life, how to be smart and take what you have and use it to make what you want to become. I appreciate you, man. Take care, okay?
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us.